What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Tuesday evening's Anfield Agenda News Roundup. And as always, I'm going to do my very best to keep you right up to date with all the news you need around Liverpool Football Club. Today, we're going to be discussing the Mission Impossible for Mark Guehi. But don't worry, it's not Liverpool that are facing Mission Impossible. We're going to discuss the future of Konate a little bit, as there looks like there's a contract offer presented to him. We're going to discuss Florian Wirtz, his positioning, and what his father's had to say. And then there'll be a couple of transfer links in there as well to the likes of Malik Fofana and Alessandro Bastoni. So that and lots more to come over the next few minutes. But don't worry, I will also be live tonight at 8:45. Don't worry, he says, knowing nobody's really giving a damn one way or the other, fella. But look, bear with me. I will be back here tonight at 8:45. Until then, we've a lot to get through, so I'm going to get stuck into it. We're going to start off with Mission Impossible, and that Mission Impossible isn't for Liverpool, thankfully, but it is around a Liverpool target. Report from Diario AS in Spain suggests that it is Mission Impossible for Real Madrid to bring in Mark Guehi due to his wage demands and the bonus that he wants. That's the reason they have dropped out of the race for him. Liverpool remain interested and are favourites on his signature. I'm going to say this straight out now. I don't believe it. I don't believe that they've pulled out because of wage demands. I believe this is a saving face exercise, like we'd seen with Manchester City and Florian Wirtz, when they knew that they were fighting a losing fight. They knew he was going elsewhere, so to save face, the numbers were just too high. So I don't believe this from the Madrid sources. I do believe that maybe he wants to come to Liverpool. I can absolutely believe that. But again, I think this is a face-saving exercise because they were met with, well, an answer of, he's not coming. He's going to the Reds. That's my thoughts anyway, but let me know yours. So, Diario AS, we talked about there, but another report in Spain suggests that Real Madrid and Manchester City are monitoring Dominic Soboslai's situation at Liverpool. I don't think we've anything to be concerned about here. We know the club are trying to tie both Dom and Ryan Gravenberch down to new deals, and I think that will happen. But, got to bring you guys the news anyway, so I thought I would let you know about it. Let's talk now about L'Équipe, a very reputable source, of course, all things French football. They said that Liverpool have presented a new contract renewal offer to Ibrahima Konate in recent days, and that Liverpool remain confident of renewing his contract. Look, at this point, it just has to be done. If Konate stays, great. We said this yesterday and we said it numerous times. Nobody's wishing the man away, but nobody wants this to drag on either. So hopefully Konate wants to stay. Verge is there. We've got young Leone to come back, and then we can go in and bring in a Mark Guehi or somebody else, and we can finally keep moving forward with this project, knowing what the backline is going to look like. So for me, like I've said, we're not going to lose any sleep if Konate goes, but the preference is always to keep a player at the club. So let's hope that that's what happens. But let me know your thoughts on the whole Konate situation. Maybe you disagree with me, or maybe you think otherwise. Feel free to let me know. So, Bastoni, let's talk a little bit about him. So, LFC Transfer Room, credit them for the post, have said, Mundo Deportivo have said, amid the uncertainty over Konate's contract and the injury of Giovanni Leone, the Reds are now looking at solutions and have identified Alessandro Bastoni as an answer. Liverpool will prepare an £88 million or €100 million offer as they hope to bring him in the summer. So do let me know your thoughts on this one. Look, I don't think we're going to get Bastoni out of Italian football. I really don't. But would I be happy if we signed him? Of course I would. Same as all of you guys and girls. I think he's a wonderful centre-back and he would grace any team in European football. So, again, fingers crossed, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it. Now, the LMA chief has been talking about Premier League managers and Premier League clubs and what they would like to see changed with VAR. Let me read this out to you and then you can tell me your thoughts. So, the LMA chief said, we've had a lot of Premier League managers meetings with Howard Webb about VAR, some good and some not so good. Premier League managers would like to see the VAR referee being somebody who is refereeing with the main referee on the pitch every week, so there's not a nervous relationship. That's so they understand each other, they understand how they operate to a greater degree, and Howard Webb and the PGMOL are working towards that. Recruitment is a big issue for them, and training and development. I think they will get there eventually, but it's absolutely about trying to make fewer errors because VAR is here to stay. The VAR referee should be permanent, not 1 week on and 1 week off. The more games that they do, then that makes practice makes perfect. So, look, a lot of what he said there makes sense. And even I, who am somebody who was very angry and annoyed at the way VAR has been refereed this season, understand that the more relationships you build, the easier. Same as the players out on the pitch. If you kind of understand the process of what the man in the middle might be thinking, or which way this should go. Just get it right. It's as simple as that, because I'm going to move on to Sam Allardyce now and what he's had to say about VAR. And I can't really disagree about a lot of what he says. Let me read it out to you. He said, "There's nothing wrong with VAR. There's never been. Unfortunately, it's human error. Stop complicating the game and let it be as simple like it always was. Referees don't like looking after VAR. They want to be on the pitch refereeing. They should use referees who are just retired and still sharp, as they will likely have very little to do. They'll know the rules and regulations better than anybody. However, they need to improve their numbers." I remember talking to referees when I was finishing about how much they do. We talk about fatigue of players, but not referees, especially when they're in Europe. They can be doing 4 games a week as a referee, 4th official and VAR. You can't flog them to death. But how is it such a problem with recruitment? This is what I don't understand as a football fan. Yes, VAR takes time to train up the referees. I understand that. It is a different refereeing situation to the olden days. But at this point, we're how many years into VAR? They should have known what would have been required when they brought VAR in before they introduced it. So this feels to me like they just pushed through an idea before they finally had it figured out. So let's get the recruitment done. Let's train up these VAR referees and hopefully improve the standard of officiating. Now, John Barnes, he's been talking about Ibrahima Konate and his performances, and he thinks that the performances of Konate reflect the inconsistency of Liverpool as a team. This is what he had to say. "As far as the narrative around players, heads turning when the contract starts to run down, some players handle it differently to others. For example, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Bobby Firmino gave 100% effort when they were playing before they left the club." I don't think any of us would argue about that, to be fair, whichever way we feel about Trent leaving in particular, and maybe the Manchester United game aside, he did always give 100% effort, and I don't think many of us would disagree with that. There were times where people were saying his head's turned in that, but he showed up every week and he played right to the end of his contract. So I get where he's coming from on this one. But he goes on to say, "Konate is a good player who's going through a difficult period like the whole team. So I don't think you can single him out more than anybody else." This I respectfully disagree with Mr. Barnes on, because I do think you can single out particular players who've been really bad, and Konate is one of them. Just look at the 3-4 incidents against against Manchester City, and I can go back and show you many, many more. So, whether that's to do with his contract situation or not, I don't know. But I do know Konate hasn't been good enough, and it's more than fair to be critical of a player who has been performing way below the standards that we know they're capable of. So that's my take on it, but of course, again, love to know yours. Let's talk about Malik Fofana for a minute here, because Sport, which is another publication in Spain, said that Liverpool, Arsenal and Barcelona are all in the picture to sign Lyon's Malik Fofana. The Premier League teams have shown the most interest in bringing in the Belgium international. So we've long been linked with Fofana, and actually thought he probably would have left this summer. If I remember correctly, Everton tried to make a play to bring him in, but he didn't want to move to the Hill Dickinson. So that's kind of where we're at. Malik Fofana is one option. We spoke yesterday about Liverpool being interested in Yakuba Minta as well as an option. We know that Liverpool have been linked with Michael Olise, Antoine Semenyo. Just whoever we do decide on, hopefully they are brought in as soon as possible and we can start increasing those competition for places. Now, speaking about competition for places, let's finish up with a conversation around Florian Wirtz. His father said this when he was coming to Liverpool Football Club about why he moved. It was very important that Arne Slot spoke with Florian. He explained his value to him, including his value to the future team and how he envisions the collaboration, and that convinced Florian. So if we've always heard, the manager has been a huge part of the players that we've brought in. Everybody that signed for us has talked about the pitch they were given by Arne Slot, the instructions that they were given about how they'd be used, and it impressed them. This is why I'm struggling to think it's a tactical thing from the manager that this isn't working. I do think it's more of a too many chefs in the kitchen kind of scenario, and eventually we will find the balance. Maybe the AFCON is going to force us into finding that balance. Maybe with Salah away, he does start to play Wirtz, Ekitike and Isak as a 3, with Wirtz in behind the two of them. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But Sam Maguire, full credit to Sam on this. You can find him on X if you would like to by searching at Sam Maguire 90. Sam put up a very interesting post earlier on, and he's a very good journalist, speaking about Florian Wirtz's heat map, and I'm going to show it to you right here. So This is what Sam said about this heat map. There's a heat map on Florian Wirtz's performance against Manchester City. He goes on to say, reminds him a lot of Bobby Firmino's start to life with Liverpool, and Rodgers didn't really know what to do with him. And as you can see from this heat map here, I totally understand where Sam's coming from, because Wirtz was all over the pitch that day, not leaning more to one side or the other really, sometimes tracking back to help out left side defensively, and as you can see, that heat map is of a player who is roaming everywhere. So whether we find a way to give him that freedom without some of the defensive responsibility or not, I don't know. But we do have to find out how to utilise Florian Wirtz to the best of his talents. And I think that heat map shows the manager's not there yet. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for now. See you tonight at 8:45 for the late night agenda. As always, looking forward to reading your comments. And we'll catch up soon. Much love. Bye-bye.